We did it!
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 We put in a huge raised garden bed. Look at all this. It's crazy. We moved 26,000 pounds of dirt, and that wasn't even all it took to fill these raised garden beds up. So should we just walk them through what we did?
Yeah, first ever Vego garden tour.
There it is, let's do it. The very first thing we had to do was really figure out our measurements on where we wanted to put every single bed. So once we got that really planned out, then it was time to lift all of this sod. Now, why lift the sod out and get rid of it? Well, would you want to mow through all these little mazes? No, so we got rid of that sod and we're gonna replace it for now with a wood chip style kind of mulch, just so it's soft, looks really nice. And then once we got rid of the sod, then it was time to place every single bed. And when we placed every single bed, we went with 4 feet of space between each. So 4 feet between here and there. There's actually 4.5 feet between the trellis ones, because that's how far the trellis needs to be out, is 4.5 feet. Every single space is 4 feet apart from each other. That way we can get through easily with a wheelbarrow. So if you're planning out your raised garden bed, make sure that you give at least 3 feet, we went with 4, for space to bring your wheelbarrow through, because you will need to bring your wheelbarrow through on multiple occasions. Then once we got it all spaced out and planned, I mean, I should have taken video of this, because this is like one of the funniest things is we're like looking down these rows and make sure that it's straight on, and it's straight on. And the funny thing is like once you put the dirt in, you're not moving these babies. So you have to be absolutely sure that your placement is right on. So that was one thing that we took a lot of time and dedicated a lot of time to, was making sure that our measurements were good, and we believe they are. Then it was time to start filling them. So once we got them in place, then we just had to cut out the weed fabric from the insides of each bed. And that is because you still want to allow the worms and nutrients from your ground soil to still be able to work their way up, and also drainage drain their way through. So once we got rid of the weed fabric under each bed, then we put a layer of cardboard down. And this is called, what's it called?
Heidenklugels.
Yeah, Heidenklugels. This is called Heidenklugel gardening? No, it's a Swedish Finnish. You know those freaky deaky Dutch. It's their way of gardening, but a raised bed gardening. So you put cardboard down, and then you put a bunch of chunks of wood. So tree trunks, sticks, all sorts of stuff like that. So luckily we live in an area where we have a lot of downed trees from windstorms this winter, so we were able to just go through the woods with our daughters and fill up wheelbarrows, and then use a chainsaw and just chop up a whole bunch of wood to fill up at the bottom of these beds.
And the big chunks of wood at the bottom will help not only cut down on costs, because you don't have to fill quite as much soil in each bed, but also it helps to retain moisture in the beds. Basically acts like a big sponge.
And then I watched a video on Epic Gardening where they actually lifted one of these beds up to show what the chunks of wood look like. And they actually had tons of mold growing on them, which is a good thing. And fungus, yeah, a bunch of fungus growing, not mold, sorry. Same thing. But it was really interesting to see the decomposition of the wood and how that benefits your soil and your plants. So pretty interesting how not only does it save money on the soil that you put in your raised beds, but it also contributes to the longevity and the health of your soil as well. So pretty cool.
Yeah, the only downside that we're gonna have to kind of keep an eye on is that potentially the decomposition will steal nitrogen from the soil.
This was kind of an experiment, and we're gonna see how this experiment goes. Some of the beds, on top of the chunks of wood, we placed our sod that we lifted up, but we turned it upside down so the grass was down. I don't know if that's gonna make any difference or not, but some of the beds we did that, and we covered the wood with that sod before we put our soil mix on top. So there is about 7 to 8 inches of soil above that sod. So we're pretty much halfway filled with cardboard, wood and sticks and sod, and then 7 to 8 inches of our soil mix. And the soil mix was probably one of the hardest things for us to decide on what we wanted to use around our local area. There weren't a lot of options, but what we did settle on.
For bulk.
What's that?
For bulk.
Oh yeah, for bulk. Because like I said, this was still 26,000 pounds worth of soil, which was about 5 yards. So what we settled on was, it was double screen topsoil mixed with manure and mushroom compost. That's what we filled the rest of them with. So that was 5 yards that it took to fill these beds halfway with. So that roughly cost us around $300-ish, was 5 yards. So you can imagine filling them all the way up would have been 10 plus yards, so more than over $600, $700 in just soil. So we've actually saved quite a bit of money doing it this way. So another benefit to the way we did it. So I'll go through and tell you which beds we have, and then afterwards Carly will run through and tell you what all we have planted in them and what all's still going to go in them. So these are the kids' first garden beds, and we got these ones because we really wanted to do this trellis on the front and the back. We thought it would make a really nice entrance and ambiance to our garden. So we got these kids ones because this trellis fit those ones. So that's why we got 2 of those. And then coming through, we have 2 of the 9-in-1s. And that's another cool thing, and I mentioned this in our other video, is the Vego garden beds have multiple different sizes out of one bed. So the 9-in-1 can get 9 different shapes out of it. So that's pretty cool. You may notice that we have a dent in here on this one. Totally my fault. I thought it would be a good idea to have my buddy bring over a skid steer and fill the beds with it. And I was lowering it, I wasn't high enough, and I dented this one. So it's really just easier to fill them with a shovel and a bucket, and it doesn't take that much. By the time the skid steer came, we were more than halfway done with them anyways. So it took about a day, not even a full day, would you say? Not even a full day to fill them up halfway with dirt. So it was hard work, no doubt. So then we've got the giant 7-foot L shape, 4 of those running all the way around. When Carly designed this, I knew it was gonna look good, but it really, really does look good when you surround your L-shaped ones with a big 10-in-1 like this one. And this is a huge garden bed. I mean, huge. There's gonna be tons of stuff growing in here. And I know the soil looks pretty dry, but we need to water it today. So we're gonna water that soon. And then on top of the soil, I didn't mention this, we're gonna put a layer of just compost on top as a type of mulch to keep the moisture in and also provide more nutrients to the plants. And then on the back side, it matches the front side. So we've got 2 more 9-in-1s and then 2 more kids' first beds with another trellis. So a really pretty garden. And then right here we have the Vego garden self-watering tomato planters, which are so cool. This one actually needs water. So this one is one that Carly planted from seed, and we've already got some babies on there. And then this one actually has 2 in it, so it's not a direct comparison, but this has gone crazy. So yeah, there's gonna be some tomatoes. All right, and now Carly will roll through on what we have all planted in here because she planted pretty much everything.
Okay, so we'll start here with our pots. And this is the Korean perilla plant that we are growing, and it has all of a sudden bulked up a lot. Like, look at how big that leaf is. And Vego had sent out this lemongrass, doing really well in the terracotta pots, which I think look really nice with the color. The color of our beds that we decided on was sage green.
Sage.
Was it sage? So all the beds are the sage green, and I love the contrast between the terracotta and the green there. And then growing up all of our trellises, and I imagine these kids' planters to be kind of like pots. Oh, beautiful flag my mother-in-law made for the garden. She sews. I imagine these kids' garden beds to be kind of like glorified pots for the entrances to the garden. And we're also growing Colette climbing roses, and they should grow up to 10 feet tall, so they'll meet at the top of this trellis and just be a really awesome entrance to the beds. We have some mint growing in this pot. Always keep your mint in pots. It gets very aggressive and will take over. The climbing roses took a little bit of a hit during transplant, but maybe this is our best one right now.
It's beautiful.
Super gorgeous, tons of petals, and a great smell. Very thorny though. Okay, this first bed has, and everything does need a good water. The nasturtium has started to flower, and every part of this plant is edible. So you can eat these flowers, you can eat these leaves. Vego sent us that plant out. It's doing really well. I put in 2 rows of carrots. 1 row is just starting to come up. Now we are heading towards the end of June, and you know how it is. We were hoping to get the beds in a little sooner, but everything takes longer than you think it's going to take. And so we're a little late to start a lot of the cold weather crops that we did put in, but we'll see how they do. These peppers are happy. We have poblanos and shishitos, and then 1 green bell pepper that Vego sent out for us. These are shishitos and these are poblanos. This bed over here is a row of broccoli. I tried 2 different varieties. And again, we'll see if they can withstand the heat. But I had started them from seed in the winter time, so we're just giving them their best shot. And then as well with the Brussels sprouts behind them. And then I flanked the entrance to the courtyard area, which is kind of what I refer to the L's as like the courtyard here, with 2 zucchini plants. This is a eggplant that really needed to go in the ground before it ended up in there, but it looks like it's bouncing back a little bit. I planted fennel here. I don't see anyone coming up there yet, but you can see our 2 rows of beets have started to sprout. Along this L, I have green beans. And then on either side are sun gold cherry tomato plants. Super sweet, so delicious. They're little yellow ones. And these 2 L's are dedicated to tomatoes. I think these ones are Big Daddy tomatoes. Or are they the beef steaks? Oh, super steaks. You know how it is when you go to the grocery store, dead of winter, and you can't help but get all the seed packets that you see? They're an impulse buy. So super steaks. Although look at this poor guy. I have no idea what's happening to him. Maybe I should take the fruit off to see if he will bounce back. But he might be too far gone.
Yeah, I don't know. That was just like the other day. It was and he died. But we've got backups.
Super steak there. These must be the Big Daddies. Let's see. We do need a better system of labeling. If anyone loves their system, let us know in their comment section. Something waterproof. And then over here we have all of the brandy wines. So this is the pink brandy wine that Vego sent us out, and the rest of them are all the red brandy wines. So 1, 2, 3 brandy wines. That's the pink one. I think that was a Big Daddy as well. Hey, this huge planter here, eventually we're hoping to have a really tall obelisk right in the middle. Until then, we just kind of filled it all up with greens. So we put spinach and different types of lettuce. Again, might be a little too late in the season to start lettuce, but we'll see how it goes. These are green onions, and then in the top are basil. Oh, but look, this one's already going to seed. If you have basil that starts to go to seed, make sure you pick it. Otherwise, your basil will start getting a little bit bitter. These guys too, yep.
You're gonna plant those in the ground today?
Yeah, these are our last babies to get into the ground. This is the Crimson King purple basil.
We've been cooking with purple basil a lot lately, but these plants are just growing, which is great. We can't keep up with them.
These 2 little guys are Mexican tarragon. And I also put some dill in, although nobody is showing their face yet here. All right, we were a little late to the game on our onions, but I thought let's put them in the ground. We had onion starts, so little baby bulbs. Hopefully they'll have time to bulb up by the end of the season. And these are sugar snap peas. I think I have purple and white, some bamboo teepee supports that we've had for years and years and years. Okay, this is our beloved strawberry patch, most popular spot in the garden right now.
Oh, that wasn't even there 2 days ago.
I know, and these are ever-bearing varieties, so they should, instead of giving like one giant crop, they will give strawberries all throughout the year.
Awesome. All right, what do you got here?
Cucumbers. So the 3 here started from seeds inside, and then these ones I put in the ground when I put everybody else in, and they are taking off too. They are really happy. The reason that there are 2 plants in this one was because we wanted to run an experiment between a homegrown tomato plant and a commercially grown tomato plant. And when they sent us out the sun gold, it did come with 2 stems in the pot. So I wanted to keep it a fair trial and send it as is and see how they do. So right now, he is definitely winning, but I don't know if there's gonna be a moment in the season where he gets crowded out and that guy takes over. Stay tuned. Oh, I did put a dahlia in each of the garden beds, or in each of the kids' beds.
Mm-hmm.
And I started some alyssum seed here that's coming up awesome. So we'll see how that goes.
And that's the dahlia.
This rose probably took the biggest hit. Hopefully they bounce back. And then, not that it's part of our vegetable garden, but it feels like the end of it, because we wanted to have a big wall right here. And where we live, it's all woods. But by the end of the season, it's really green. And we needed to add some extra color. So these are all moon glow junipers. So they'll add a nice blue hedge to kind of be a nice backdrop for the garden.
And how tall do they get? 20 feet?
I think 15 feet. Also, the blue with the sage green, gorgeous. And then we just I had started a bunch of zinnias from seed inside. So these are mostly purple and violet zinnias.
So that's our raised garden bed setup so far. We'd love to know what you guys think. We still have a lot more work to do, obviously. We've still got to put the compost down to protect our little plants with some top mulch.
We're gonna do our...
We still gotta do this part, the wood chips. But
it's a process.
It's a process. It's coming along. We're trying to enjoy the process. And you know, once we finally got the beds filled with dirt, we celebrated. We did. It was a big accomplishment because this is a huge garden and we really, in about 3 days, built it all. It was just a, you know, fast and loose kind of just get it done, and we got it done. And so we're happy with it so far. And now we just have to eat what it grows and keep it growing. Yeah.
I know. I would say one of the first videos we should probably do.
Yeah, Korean barbecue.
Let us know in the comment section if you have ever grown this plant.
Yeah. So maybe this weekend we'll be shooting a Korean barbecue video and using the perilla leaves to wrap up our whatever we make, Korean food wise. So
Pork belly.
Pork belly, yes. Okay, good. So that's our raised garden beds. We hope you guys enjoyed this tour. Let us know what you think. If you have any questions, mainly for Carly, because she knows a lot more than I do about this stuff, hit us up in the comments section. We'll do our best to get back to you. But until then, we appreciate you. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you on the next garden tour.